Tinker, Tailor, soldier, sailor, rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief.
Yes.
One of them is a traitor. A double agent has infiltrated the circus, and a retired agent is called back into a game he thought he'd left behind. But the past, like old secrets, never really stays buried.
So don't.
The book, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. The author, John Le Carre. And you're listening to Lit Society. Let's get lit. Hi, readers. This is Alexis.
And this is Kari. Hey.
And you're listening to Lit Society, a podcast about books and drama.
That's right. And this week is a live episode. That means there'll be no edits because I don't have time. It's going to be so exciting. And if you love these, maybe we'll do a live recording in the near future. Also, if you're not on Patreon, just know that only the first 20 minutes of this episode will be available to you. And you're going to be hungry for more. You're going to say, what happened next? I have to know. Well, go over to patreon.com/LitSocietyPod and sign up for Team Literati. You can hear the rest of the show. Very affordable, by the way. We cheap.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Okay.
In so many ways.
Okay, so let's get started because, it's a lot going on and we live and I'm prone to make lots of mistakes. Anyway, so let's go. Each week, we select this theme to discuss inspired by the book we're reading. And this week's theme will be tradecraft in action.
Oh.
Kari, when you think of tradecraft, what do you think of?
I think of James Bond. I think of Ian Fleming and how we talked about a lot of those authors, those spy thriller authors, or a few of them were actual spies in real life. So tradecraft, I think of them. And I think they take a pen out of their pocket, but that pen is a truck. And they throw the truck against the wall and jump in it and drive away if necessary. Am I right? Is that tradecraft?
So as John Le Carre was a real life spy, we know. And so he writes about real life tradecraft. He doesn't write about the throwing of the pen that turns into a truck. That's not what he writes about. The tradecraft that he writes about are the specific techniques and methods and tools used in intelligence gathering. And we're just going to talk about 4 of those techniques as they're discussed in this book.
And can we use this information to spy on our exes?
I mean,
I'm just asking if it's useful.
I think it is useful. I think it is useful.
Get ready, ladies.
And in fact, Kari,
we getting revenge.
I would love it if you could share how you can use this tool.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. Sounds good.
Okay, so the first one is dead drops. It's secret exchanges of materials and messages without direct contact. In chapter 5 of the book, Smiley visits a man named Toby Esterhaus.
Yeah, Esterhaus. I was having problems with that name too.
I think it is Esterhaus.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and he references how Toby ran a surveillance and document drop network, often using low-key dead drops and go-betweens to pass information under the radar. And this echoes Cold War field operations. So, Kari, how can we use this to spy on our exes or, get information we need in our lives?
Still thinking about the first one, but I've used this Cold War tactic many a time. So this is what happens when you get home before your husband, but he forgot his keys.
Ooh.
But you gotta go because you gotta luncheon with the girls. Okay, you can't be letting the man hold you back. Okay, you INDE. So what you do is you say, I'm gonna throw the keys because don't nobody use a hide a key. Everybody know the jig is up on hide a key.
No hide a keys anymore.
So what you do is say, I'm gonna leave our key on the 3rd bush to the north and southwest of our building. Look under not the first rock, but the second. Cough 3 times, poot, and lift the 5th rock. You will find the key to the front door. That's how you use it. And what's that called again? That's a cold drop.
It's called a dead drop.
That's a dead drop.
So you got a dead drop spot for your mate, your ex. Oh, well,
not
you want not your ex. You don't want your ex. Because that's something else.
That's infiltration.
That's something completely different. And
you gonna wind up gone. Also, if you get good with the girls at Starbucks, you can be like, "Hey, can you hold this key for my husband?" They'll do it. Only if they don't know where you live. Go ahead and do that. Okay.
That's also a dead drop. So the next one is surveillance detection routes. Okay. And this is an elaborate, non-linear path used to detect or avoid being followed. In the book, Smiley walks through London using an SDR. That's how it's used. Like pattern while tailing or avoiding being tailed. His precise movement through alleys and across bus stops is described in detail, showcasing his old school instincts. How can we use that?
If you think somebody is following you, don't take the regular path home. What I like to do, especially if the person I think is following me is not of the culture, I'll drive through the hood because I'm only a little scared, but I know they really scared. So I'll take a detour through certain sides of my city. And if I lose them, this has happened to me a couple of times. Because why you following me in the alley in the west side? Why we doing this? Why we doing this?
Why?
So if they continue following you, last resort, go to a police station, but they ain't gonna help you. So I say go to the hood.
Not a last resort.
Because if a stranger not of the culture starts slapping you around in the hood, somebody might do something.
Somebody might do something.
So am I explaining the tactic? So take a roundabout way to get to where you're going.
Absolutely. That is
in this case to avoid surveillance.
Mm-hmm. That's SDR. Okay. Number 3, legends and covers. Okay. This is fabricated identities, often with forged histories and documents. In the book, in chapter 12, we learned that background was impeccable. Public school, upper class connections. He had the perfect patriotic persona. Yeah. And that made him the perfect mole. Okay. His legend was
not you giving the book away in the in the theme of the week. Keep going, Alexis. Just go.
I meant to write that
out. Spoilers. Go ahead. Too late. We live. Don't rewind it. If you missed that, good.
Okay.
That's the whole book, Alexis. Go ahead, girl. You're doing great. You're doing great, sweetie.
That's what I'm talking about. So, anyway, let's... I missed that. I had said that because I was supposed to take it out. Anyway. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, that's legends and covers. Tell me, Kari.
How to use this. No problem. I don't know why anyone's using their real name on social media. For why? For why? Also, protect them legends and covers. So if you is Jimmy Choose, CHOOSE, if that's your name on Instagram, Jimmy Choose, then make sure you're not showing where you live on Instagram or TikTok. True. Make sure you're not showing packages with your name on it. That's how Pop Smoke got caught. Just be careful with your true identity. Don't just give that away to everybody. For why? Unless you got a podcast.
And people want to know your name, though. So
yeah.
There you go. That's different, y'all. That's different.
Totally.
4th. That works, Kari. Thank you for sharing. Honey traps.
Uh-oh.
These are emotional or sexually manipulative actions used to gain intel or control. It happens. In the book, it happens. Chapter 17 contains subtle revelations about Anne Smiley's affair with Bill Hayden, which wasn't just betrayal, but strategic. So, how can we use that?
Don't be people of integrity and don't emotionally manipulate others.
Thank you, Kari. You answered correctly because I was gonna get you if you answered wrong. Said, don't be using that.
Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Because in real life, we are not doing that. Okay.
Right. Even to get out of a ticket, don't do it. Don't be winking and shoulder shimmying. That don't even work no more. This ain't the 50s.
That's emotional manipulation.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So those are my 4 trade crafts. And Kari kindly related them to today, everyday life that you too, readers, can use.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, sounds good.
We're back.
Woo.
Kari, what can you share about the author and context for this book?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm taking notes this week on the Lit Society Reading Journal, available on Etsy and Patreon. It's a digital reading journal to help you organize your thoughts as you dive into your library. It helps you remember plot points, recall certain aspects or favorite quotes of each book you read, and it's a great tool. I'm using it today. So, I would like to call him John Le Carré. But that's John Le Carré. And his name actually is David John Moore Cornwell. As Alexis divulged to us, he was a real life spy. He lived from 1931 to 2020. He worked for MI5 and MI6. One is like the FBI, the other is like the CIA. In the 50s and 60s, he became a successful author when a colleague also became a successful author and was like, hey, you should do this. He had to write.
Get in the business.
Get in the business. There's money to be made. Now, my thing is, hey, writers, come close. These people were spies for the English government, and they found time to finish novels like crazy, whole book series. What's wrong with us? How come we can't get it done? Just a thought. He became a successful author, eventually left MI6. But the spy in this book that we're reading today is inspired by a real life spy who blew his cover. And Le Carré, kind of left also because of that. His cover was blown, as well as the cover of other colleagues. It was actually a big deal. Now, he became critical of the British government after Brexit. So later in life, after devoting his entire life to the cause of the Queen, he became critical of England as a whole and embraced his Irish heritage, becoming an Irish citizen posthumously.
Wow.
He died after a fall, and his wife died weeks later. He was married twice. Like the first time he got married in his early 20s, and that marriage lasted for like 17 years. And then his second marriage lasted for 48 years. I thought that was so interesting. That's two full relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that second woman must have really loved him. I don't know everything about her death, but yeah, like a couple months after he died, she died also, which we've seen before. That happens. But he died around 89 years old. And that's John Le Carré. He seems like a great guy, like a guy you'd want to have a drink with and just hear stories from. I would love to sit in a room with John Le Carré and just let him talk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Alexis, who do you think would enjoy reading Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by John Le Carré?
I would say if you like spy novels, maybe even well, that's not spy, that's more police work. I think any spy novel with a lot of detail would be useful. And maybe I was thinking of James Peterson.
Yeah, James Peterson. Oh, it's so violent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're more violent. This one, I didn't find it to be a violent book, but I think he provides a lot of detail. I've started his books before, and there's a lot of detail in it. And I think you could find that in the same
Are we saying
in
James
John.
Patterson?
Did
What
I
is his
say
name?
Peterson? James Patterson. I said Peterson. Listen,
We ain't looking it
y'all,
up. This is live. So
this
I will say
is
to your point, oftentimes when people are in it, they don't romanticize it. So I don't know Patterson's background that well, but he does romanticize violence in a way you and I don't care for.
right.
John le Carre is not about the violence of war, but he was also a British spy. And in that way, they tend to value intellect over force.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When, in war, you need both.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought that
Okay.
was interesting to your point. This is not a violent book at all, even though it's definitely about the violence, about war. It's about war
About
and
war. Mhm.
world power play.
Yeah. Um, Kari, why did you choose the book we're covering today?
As I divulged last week, I'm in my book bag, and I'm trying to read books recommended to me by dads. Now, I also said if we didn't like this book, we shall never listen to the recommendations again. So stay tuned for how we feel about Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and all dad books. But that's why I chose it.
Wait, not all dad books. Okay, let's
They
go.
will never be able to recommend anything to us ever again if we did not care for this book.
Okay. All right. All right. So are you ready, Kari, to jump in?
So
Do our deep
ready.
dive? Okay, I'm ready
Mhm.
to hear it. Go for it.
Okay. Now, I'm going to just talk my way through this plot. Spoilers ahead, you guys. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by John le Carre. We begin this book in the oddest way to me. We're with Jim Prideaux. Jim is the substitute French teacher for this hoity-toity boarding school, and he's being observed by a child named Bill Roach. Bill Roach does not need to be named in this book, but he is. We even find his nicknames later on. What this is trying to emphasize to us, and I'll just cut to the point, is that there is a bit of recognition in Jim as the substitute teacher in this little boy and what he's going through. Bill Roach is the child of divorced parents. He blames himself for that divorce. He's always looking and observing others, but feeling like he's on the outside. And Jim Prideaux recognizes those characteristics right away and tries to befriend the boy. In Bill Roach's mind, Jim Prideaux becomes everything. Even when Jim becomes when he sees Jim with a gun or talking to someone in secret, Bill Roach, the student, will become physically ill out of worry. I haven't yet understood why Bill Roach is here. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know if this is to help us to see the kind nature of Jim Prideaux. I don't think it rounds out his character, but you should know this is where the book starts. And then we meet George Smiley, who's our protagonist and the chief spy of this entire series. Can you describe Smiley for us, Alexis?
He's an aging, retired agent, and he is I think he's the most intelligent of his group of peers. He was forced out of his spy role because of intel that
Or an
exposed
operation
him.
gone bad.
That exposed him.
Right. Yeah. So he has this wife named Anne who is not at all faithful to him. So he's cuckolded often. We see him even call himself, I forget the phrase he used. If it's not effeminate, it's like weak. He's calling himself this in his mind. But everything he does, even in his retirement, are like instinctual from his spy past. So when he walks up to his home, he's counting the cars on the street. He sees a old colleague or I think a schoolmate and has lunch with him, listening but not listening. And the colleague, by the way, says, hey, your old boss, a man named Control, who was over the whole department, whose exit also took you with it. I saw him, or somebody saw him in South Africa, drinking a mint julep. And that's when Smiley is like, no, don't say that because I was there at his burial. And then the colleague is like, oh, just kidding, Smiley. Anyway, what you doing today? So this feels very heavy. And it seems like, well, Control, this old boss, is still alive. This may be brought out in a future book, but it carries us nowhere really in this book. And you should know that because I would have wanted to know it. Every time something happens and they're looking for the mole, I'm like, well, it's Control because he alive and everybody think he dead. It's not. All right. So one day, Smiley walks home and sees that these type of, oh, this is another thing you can do. Place things around your home strategically so that someone has to move them. And then if they put them back in a way that you know is not right, you'll know someone is there. An example is in Stephen King's Misery when the penguin is supposed to face one pole, but if y'all know what I'm talking about, do that. So Smiley be doing that. So he walks in and he's like, there's an umbrella there. It's dry. And there is mail all along the floor. Someone is here. And I kind of know who they are. They're not one of my wife's lovers. You like, man, Smiley, get a backbone. You will fight for the queen, but not your queen? But anyway, so Smiley is like, it's a man that knows my handwriting. And there are little phrases like this through the book. So when they talk about the circus, that's the head of the Secret Service. When they talk about their handwriting, that's just their way of doing things. So whoever's in his home is a former spy or a current spy. The man shows himself and they go for a drive. They arrive at the home of Oliver Lacone and they're met. So let me see. Lacone's an advisor, right? So they arrive at the home of political advisor Oliver Lacone. I'm trying to fit these characters in. You can forget him. Go ahead. But they meet at that home. Someone's waiting for them. And that's Ricky Tarr. Do not forget him. Smiley once vetted Tarr. He knows this operative. He once looked into his past to make sure he was appropriate, the right man for the job. And now Tarr is sitting in front of him, not at his mission. What is going on? Also, he knows Tarr to be a particularly violent individual. When Smiley is thinking about his past, he thinks about times when Tarr used force and it may not have been necessary. But anyway, Tarr tells of an assignment received 6 months ago. He followed a man codenamed Boris, a trade delegate from the Soviet Union. Remember Cold War. Throughout this book, we have characters, we have their real names, we have their code names, and sometimes a secondary or tertiary code name. It can be difficult to keep track of those. We know a lot of you guys read with us, so you may have written them down as you go. But as we talk about the plot, I'll let you know who to remember and who not to. Boris is key to this operation, but you can forget him. So
I was going to say, oh, is he? Oh,
that was Tarr's whole job. Follow this guy.
Yeah.
Follow this Soviet operative. Well, Boris got this fine woman named Irina, and that's who you need to remember. So Tarr sees Irina. He follows her and approaches her one day. Tarr and Irina begin having an affair. Irina, in the public, is Boris's wife. So Tarr is now conducting an affair with the wife of a foreign operative. Tarr takes chances to stay with her instead of returning to where he's supposed to be, to London. And it shows that he's developing an emotional attachment to her. Turns out both Boris and Irina were undercover operatives. I won't say spies. They're not in espionage, but they have a job that they're doing for the Soviet Union.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she tells Tom everything because she's fallen for him too, it seems. Even her real name, which Lakeisha, who cares? So
and Tom.
Yeah.
That's who was Tom.
Oh, did I say Tom?
Yeah.
Who's Tom?
That's what I want to know. Who's
Oh,
Tom?
Tar. Sometimes my 2 R's in my notes look like an M. Follow it. You got it. So she tells Tar everything. Tar informed Operation about Irina's desire to switch teams. She's sick of playing for the Soviet Union. Tar fine. She ready to risk it all, as the kids say. Okay, she giving up her assignment, her citizenship, her spy secrets. Bring me over to London. I got a gift. Is Irina a honey trap? Ooh, what did you call it?
A honey trap.
Yeah, she is, but she don't know it. Anyway, the point is, he then learns of a Soviet, Tar does, not Tom, Tar. Tom doesn't exist in this book, keep up. Tar learns that a Soviet plane left suddenly carrying a comatose woman. He assumes that's Irina. So before he could even get her out, okay, someone else intercepted his message to London, took action, and had her removed. He wants her back. This is why he's sitting in front of Smiley, but he's not telling Smiley that. What he's telling Smiley is this woman has intel that our nation needs. We need to figure out who the mole was and, you know, maybe get her back for the information her fine self got. After Irina's disappearance, Tar looked for Boris, but found instead a message from Irina. I feel like in a diary or something.
Yeah, it was a diary book, a notebook.
And it was obviously written for Tar. It doesn't address him directly because she ain't no fool, but reading it, he knows it's for him. And what does that secret message say, Alexis? Do you remember?
I think it revealed everything, like all the things, but I don't know what they are.
Yeah, a few very important things is that you think you got a mole, you do. And then secondly, she unveils the big baddie of the story, who is Carla. Carla is a Soviet agent. One time Carla arranged to meet Gerald. That is the code name of the English spy. Care. You should care.
Start caring now.
Start caring now. So the Soviets got a man named Carla. He's the big baddie, and he keeps in touch with an English mole named Gerald. Ooh. Now let's take a pause here to talk about the writing of this book. The writing reminds me of
What are we reading
the
next week,
dads win for once. Dads have it so hard. We are reading a short story. Recitative by Toni Morrison.
Yep. So this will be fun. I hope you guys saw that post by Kari and her Toni Morrison books. I loved it.
Did you read Recitative already?
I sure did.
Is it going to destroy us?
I don't think it's going to destroy you.
Y'all know Toni loves to throw you into depression.
But it'll have you thinking. It'll certainly have you thinking. So thank you for listening to Lit Society. We look forward to meeting up with you next week, Thursday. Lit Society is brought to you by Alexis Honoria, that's me, and Kari Herrera. Support the cause by leaving a 5-star review for our show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you can leave a 5-star review. Please leave it.
Do it.
Support us on Patreon. Support us on YouTube. Support us wherever you can so we can continue producing great content. I would like to add that I met some listeners the other day, and that is always very encouraging because they encourage us to keep going. And it's always very exciting because we love reading and we love you too. If you've enjoyed what you just heard, tell a friend about Lit Society. Visit Lit Society Pod for show notes, this month's book list, and to sign up for our amazing email newsletter. And until next time, readers, read something